Hey everyone, welcome to the Super Review Show's career retrospectives with my good man Kyle Q. He's back once again. How you doing tonight?
Doing great.
So we have a very interesting show for you tonight. We have a show. We're gonna be talking about Fall Out Boy's Mania, which right off the bat, I'm fascinated to talk about this one, but but we're some people hate it, some people love it. We're gonna get into all that in a little bit, but glad to see you're here once again, my friend.
Glad to be here.
So let's get right into it, shall we? So what as I share my screen here, what are your like overall like coming off of like Centuries and Uma Thurman? What was going into Mania? What was your take on that?
So my expectations were not super high for this album. I'm going to be honest with you,
Okay.
and that's even before any of the songs came out. That's before anything leading up to it. I was skeptical right off the bat, mostly because while I do like American Beauty, American Psycho quite a bit, it's a good album.
Yeah.
It was starting to veer a little too much into that pop direction, which is not on its own a bad thing. There's plenty of bands that do that very well that have pivoted. I mean, even their album prior, Save Rock and Roll, it's more of a pop album than a rock and roll album, if we're going to be honest about it.
I agree.
But it was a great album. It was, up there with some of their best work. American Beauty, American Psycho, on the other hand, was more hit or miss. So coming off that album, which again, I did really like, but I kind of had a feeling I knew where they were going based on the big singles from the previous album, which in my opinion are some of the worst on there. Like Centuries, it's not one of my favorite Fall Out Boy songs. And Uma Thurman, I did like it at first, and they got a little bit overplayed. But I had a feeling they were going to lean heavily into that kind of inspiration and sound for Mania, and overall, I was right.
All right. Truth be told, I going into I didn't even know this album came out. I'm gonna tell you right up front. I didn't even know they had like a seventh album until you told me, truthfully. I was like, wait, what? There was another because I was so used to hearing like my songs, You Did in the Dark on the radio and whatever like their chart hitting songs were, but there were no Hot 100 hits on this album. Compared to the other previous albums. Like Centuries was a big hit for them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what happened to Fall Out Boy? I liked what I heard beforehand, but I didn't realize. I was like, what in 2017, 2018, like what's going on? I didn't know. I thought they weren't even like they were there. I thought they were gone, truthfully. And then when you just told me like, oh, they released an album called Mania, I said, what? I was completely unaware of it. But honestly, like this is like it's an album that there are good. It's not all bad. Is it their worst album? Yes, we both agree with on that part. Is there like, are there like good songs on it though? Yeah, there's a couple good ones. Our lists are different. You said you have like a top, you rank them from like 1 to 10 on your song list, but like
So what I did was, it's not like 1 to 10. It's more of just so for this one, I gave each song a rating out of a score of 10, 10 being the highest. I just wanted to do it that way because I wanted to try to stay as impartial as possible. We talked about a lot of albums that we've liked throughout our previous discussions, and now that we're talking about one that we're not so fond of, I wanted to make sure I gave it a fair shake. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't being just blindly critical of it. So I went through and I rated each song without Fall Out Boy standards, just as standalone songs and a standalone album. If I didn't know it was Fall Out Boy, this is how I would have ranked them.
All right. I personally did not do that, but I will talk about when you bring them up, I'll talk about each song and we'll go from there. That's totally fine. What was did you ever see them live? I forgot to ask that.
Yeah, I've seen them twice now. First was on the what'd they call that tour? It was the tour with Paramore, the co-headliner with Paramore. That was when Save Rock and Roll came out. Was it the Mania
back then?
Right? They called it. Yeah. That was great. They did great. I loved them then. And then I saw them last summer on the Hella Mega Tour, which again, great. They're great live. They have good charisma on stage. They play fantastically. I will say some of the songs from Mania didn't translate as well live as pretty much any of their other albums. I think that even the American Beauty, American Psycho songs translate to a live setting better, but they're still fun.
All right, no, I because we talked about this on one hand before. I did see the Hell Mega Tour as well, but unfortunately, I was on the New York show, and you were in the Philadelphia show, and Fall Out Boy had a positive COVID. Well, not them specifically. One of their members had like a COVID test positive, and sure enough, they could not perform. And I was so pissed that Fall Out Boy had to fall out of playing on the tour. I was like, damn, that sucked, but whatever. Yeah, hopefully when they tour again, I will see. They're on my list to go see for sure. Live.
Definitely recommended. They're great. Even if you're not the biggest fan of the later half of their career, right, whatever, it's still good. Even the songs that you're not that into, they play them great. They're still entertaining to watch, even when it might be one of those songs.
Yeah, I mean, on a side note, like I feel like a song like Centuries or My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark, Light 'Em Up. I mean, I feel like that would go over differently than like Sugar We're Going Down or Thanks for the Memories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure about that. But anyways, Mania. I do know that they played one song off Mania on the Hell Mega Tour as well. I know, was it Less the Real Ones? Right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Just because I didn't see it. How did that go over? Given that that's the one song they played off this album on the Hell Mega Tour.
I thought it went over okay.
Okay.
I could have done without it. I'm going to be honest. I would have replaced it with, there's a couple songs from this album I would have taken over that any day of the week. But, it was cool to see. I was kind of glad they only left it to that one song from the album. But
yeah,
as a whole, can't complain about it. It was okay.
All right. No, I was, like I said, because I didn't see him. But I mean, definitely, I'm just curious how that would go, how that material, that type of material would go over live compared to like I said, Sugar We're Going Down or even Saturday. So
they do it well, and the audience was still into it. It's not like it went over poorly. It's not like it was poorly received when they played it. They still do great when they're playing that, and they sounded great. So that's all that really matters on it, and the crowd was into it. So and that's even when it was pouring rain, I might add. It was torrential downpour in an open air stadium. So you can imagine how people were feeling at that point. I was drenched head to toe, but it was still great. Not many bands that you could say that about, that you could be completely soaked and still just be standing there watching them.
Yeah.
And enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it's all about in the end, right? And having fun.
Yep.
But Mania, let's get into the, and for those who are listening to us, you won't be able to see this, but we're gonna get into the Wikipedia page about like, certain songs and certain specific ones that are set, their type of sound on this record. It was different as well. Very much more of a pop sounding record, of course. So, I mean, drastic. I mean, I would say like, I thought Centuries was one thing, but then you listen to like Last of the Real Ones and like Young and Menace, and like, what's going on?
Yeah, well, we'll get into that one later. I have a lot to say on that one.
Oh God. Yeah, hopefully their next album is different, but let's put it that way. And it says it right here. It says, upon release, Mania received largely mixed reviews from critics, but farewell commercially debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with big feat, of course. It was the first album since their debut this is what I was talking about, to not produce a Hot 100 single on the charts. That's why I was like, what happened to them? That's because I didn't know this album came out. I had no idea. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, I mean, and then I listened to it. I was like, this is Fall Out Boy.
Put it this way. When the most I heard of this album on the radio was when I was working at Home Depot.
Yeah.
This is like right around when it came out. Champion went directly to Home Depot radio.
Oh, jeez.
And it would play in there, and that was the only place I heard. I heard on the actual like radio maybe a handful of times. But also, I just want to point out one of the producers of this album, which there was multiple, and I'm sure that played a part in the mixed bag that this album is Butch Walker.
Oh yeah.
I'm generally not a big fan of his production on a lot of things lately, anyway, the past couple of years, that is. Um, he also worked on um, Green Day's last album, Father of All.
Mm.
That album was also a little questionable. So his track record's not the best over the past 3-4 years.
Yeah. I mean, this was also January of 2018. So remember we talked about Panic at the Disco dropping in January of 2016?
Yeah.
This is Fall Out Boy's latest release too. We're like, oh man, um I mean, we'll get into like their greatest hits release of like those couple other songs in a little bit, but like and I thought that was different than this. But I mean, still, it was just it's just this is why I have you here. Like it was just such a different sound for them too, because compared to like their 2003, 2005, 2007 sound, or even their 2011 sound, it was just so different.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a couple good ones out here that I like, but like at the same time, like, really, this is Fall Out Boy. It was just like questionable for me. I mean, what's your take on like the sound of the record personally?
The sound is, like you said, it's very, very different. That's not always necessarily a bad thing when bands do that, but you have to do it right. You have to actually know what you're doing, and you actually have to be passionate about it. And I feel like only half of this album feels like that. The rest of it just feels like they said, this is what's popular right now, or this is what worked on our last album. Let's go more towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not do it well. There's a lot of really odd choices on the album that don't make much sense, even down to like the single choices and just really odd decisions that were made all around. And especially having so many producers on the album and still having these problems. Like you would think somewhere along the lines, one of the people working on the album would have said, hey, maybe let's not do that song, or maybe let's do it a little bit differently. And I will say that, and I don't know how confirmed this is, but after Young and Menace, the lead single dropped and was pretty much panned by everyone, critics, fans. I don't think I've seen anyone defend that song. Nobody liked it. But after that, they delayed the album release date pretty substantially. And I think a lot of that had to do with how it was received. And it makes me wonder what the album was going to be like before that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Would it have been more of what Young and Menace was? Just random drops of just sounds that don't work together? Just very odd. And if they did go back and re-record things, then I'm glad they did, because we did get a handful of pretty good songs out of it.
I didn't even know they did that, because I mean that's how little I paid attention to this album. I mean in general, but like, I mean based on what you're saying, they just completely like redid it, and not necessarily start from scratch, but just like they tweaked a lot of stuff because based on the first debut single, which was on April 27th, 2017. So you said they delayed it to like, do you know when the delay was?
I don't remember what the original release date was, but it did have, it was supposed to be not too long after Young and Menace, if I remember correctly. And then,
right here.
Oh, they have it in here?
Yeah, it says right here. Go ahead.
So they delayed it 3 months. And again, don't know. Yeah, right. They even said right here. So I guess it is confirmed. I wasn't sure that's something that they actually formally said because I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, they felt the album wasn't ready and felt it was rushed. And I think a lot of parts still feel that way, even on the finished product that we got.
Right. I mean, I like I said, I'm not super familiar with like the specific details of this, but I do. I mean, the fact that he's like, look, it was originally scheduled for September of 2017, and it got delayed to January of 2018. So that just tells you something right there. Like, all right, we're gonna like we're gonna like redo, we're gonna backtrack, we're gonna take care of some stuff and just hopefully redo a lot of it, which I'm kind of glad they did. I know what happened, but then like, oh, let's just put it out anyways, you know.
I also want to point out that even speaking more to this era of the band, just look at you have it right up here on the Wikipedia page, this tour. I remember when they did this, and it was the first time that Fall Out Boy had gone on tour that I was like, I don't think I really want to see this tour. And I didn't go because the support acts were Black Bear, which I'm not really into him. Everything he does sounds almost exactly the same. Jaden Smith, why? And I don't know who the other band is. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who Wax is. Based on like their Australian rock band, I'm guessing they played the Australia dates, but very odd choices for the band. I don't know if they were trying to cash in on more modern mainstream, but they were already a mainstream act. They didn't need to. They could have just kept doing what they were doing.
Right. Exactly. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I looked up their set list for what they played on the Mania. They played like 25 songs, but there was an opening act. And I was like, and I looked at those dates too, and I'm like, why is Black Bear or Jaden Smith, or even for, it's funny when American Beauty, American Psycho came out, I looked at dates for that too. I was just on a whim. I was like, oh, let me just look when this came out. Let me look on Setlist FM, which is a good website too.
I love it.
Like Wiz Khalifa was opening up for them too.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah. Well, they did a whole remix album for American Beauty, American Psycho, and that was mostly garbage again. I can't really hit them that hard on that because it's a remix album.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of like remixes per se, but I'm like originally like just put out your content, put out the way you want to put it out. But like just on a side note of remixes, just a really quick side note. I was on Spotify yesterday, and this is just a side note for you. I like because I listen to a variety of music from all different decades. I found a remix. The Four Tops, which is a 1960s Motown group, has a remix out. I'm like, what the hell are you thinking? It's like, what are they doing? They remix, like, I think it was like Bernadette, one of their like 60s pop hits, has a remix. Like, what the hell are you doing? You're like 80 years old. Come on. It's
you gotta get that Spotify money.
I know. It's just, I don't know. That was shocking to see that. I was like, I didn't want to listen to that, but that's me. But Mania, the experience. I mean, I guess Wax was the opening up for their. I mean, they only have one opening act for this tour, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was only like the one act. It wasn't two acts.
I think so.
I could be wrong because when I saw, it's funny. I saw Panic at the Disco for the first time in 2018. They had two opening acts and they played for 2 hours on their own. So I wonder if there was only one opening act and then Fall Out Boy played like a 2.5 hour set, maybe. I don't know. Just wondering, but so yeah, I don't know. That's
not sure. I do think I remember it being one opening act, maybe two in certain areas. I don't fully remember.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I mean, I could look it up one day, but like it's just I wasn't sure about that. But I don't know. Just that's me. But should we get into the track listing or anything else you want to say about the tour and whatnot? Or
no, I'm good.
Do you want to get what's this llama thing? La Mania, whatever it's called.
That was.
Is that the EP you were talking about?
No, that was a different EP that I was talking about. That came after La Mania. Actually, La Mania was just like 3 demos for Mania that didn't get used, and they put it out under a different name at first. It was interesting, cool to hear, but I wish they were finished. If I remember, one of them actually sounded better than that decent amount of the album did.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been cool to get those finished, but yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah, all right. Let's get down to the track listing show. And it did debut #1, making them like one of the biggest sales that year, and the critic reviews are right there too. So there's only 10 songs on here. And it's funny. I noticed this a lot over the course of like not just Fall Out Boy, not just like Panic at the Disco, but like even Maroon 5. They started as like 5 guys just writing songs, and then once they get to like 2015 or 2018, they tend to have like a ton of writers on their stuff at the same time. I mean, like even this example too. So
especially when you get to the pop sounding songs, more and more producers and writers, which can be a good thing if it works. I think this is a case of having too many cooks in the kitchen, if you will. I
I
think
agree.
there were too many people giving their own input here, and I just don't think it worked.
No, I don't think so. I mean, am I hoping for an eighth Fall Out Boy album? Absolutely. Am I excited for that? Yes.
Mhm.
Whenever that may come out. But right now we got this. This is their latest like stance on like, oh, this is what we got. And it is what it is. Let's start with number one, shall we? Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea. Talk to me.
Yeah, uh, very good album opener for what it's worth. I actually do
Yeah.
enjoy the song.
Okay.
Uh, the production on this specific song, I actually really like.
Okay.
It actually gets you like pumped up, and it really sets a good mood. I remember when I first heard it, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, maybe I'm gonna actually enjoy this album. Because
Mhm.
before that, I had heard Young and Menace, and I think Champion came after that one, and I was iffy on that one. So I don't remember if I listened to any of the other singles beforehand. So this
Mm.
being like my wow, maybe I'm gonna actually like this album. It had me hopeful for a couple minutes. Uh, the chorus, the first half of it is kind of annoying, but the second half is very good. That's something I noticed throughout the album as well. Is a lot of the songs have questionable choruses, and quite a few of them, the verses were better than the choruses. And I mean, the lyrics on this, actually, this album has some pretty good lyrics throughout it. I mean, Fall Out Boy's always been great with their lyrics. I mean, one of the lyrics on this one, if I die in my sleep, I know that my life is just a killer dream. I really like that one. That's a really
Yeah.
good line. But then they also have in the same song, I think the worst lyrics Fall Out Boy has ever used. Are you smelling that shit? And they just repeat that multiple times throughout the song. It's awful. That's a terrible line.
Yeah.
It drags the thing down. Overall, the song I'd give like an 8 out of 10.
Hmm. For the first one, Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea.
Yep.
It's a weird. I mean, you and I talk about titles sometimes. It's a somewhat of a weird title as well, if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not too into that. I mean, it did kind of remind me of like the early days of Fall Out Boy when they just have absolutely ridiculous song titles.
Right. Honestly, it's like, we'll get into more of it in a second, but like, it's odd. It's like compared to like Sugar We're Going Down or My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark, in parentheses, line them up. It's a different take. I liked it for what it was, but at the same time, you're like, really? But whatever. I mean, like, could you picture like someone on Z if it hit the Hot 100? Can you imagine like someone from Z100 being like, "Yeah, Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea by Fall Out Boy"?
Yeah.
No.
Sometimes the song titles can prevent it from being, a huge hit. But I really like on this one, this is probably like the heaviest production that's on the album. Definitely the most like distorted, intense sounding song, mostly the intro. Good album opener.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Yeah. Now let's get into. I want to get your opinion of this.
Mm,
Last of the Real Ones.
yeah.
What do you got?
I like the lyrics. I think
Mhm.
lyrically it's good. That's a trend throughout most of this album, like I said. The bridge I didn't think was good at all. I think it felt very out of place. The chorus I thought is okay, but then once they start repeating the last of the real ones over and over, it just reminds me of like Young and Menace, and I don't like it. It gets repetitive to the point of annoyingness. Overall, it's pretty middle of the road for me. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's probably like a 6 out of 10 in my book.
Okay. I mean, I it was I gotta say the truth. I like the piano intro part of it, like
Hmm.
that. I mean, that was a good like I guess pop hook,
Yep.
one might say, but like the rest of it was like I don't know, it's kind of forgettable too at the same time. Most of the album is
Yes.
forgettable to me compared to like to me personally Centuries or Uma Thurman or like other songs of theirs that are quite more memorable than a lot of these ones personally. I mean, I'll get to Heaven's Gate in a second, but that's me. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that this song, like you said, I love the piano intro. I think that was cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think they needed to bring it back so many times throughout the song, though. I think that they could have just let it be the intro and just moved on from it. I think that would have been much cooler than what they did.
yeah. I mean, I agree with that completely. Yeah, that would have been so much better if they did something like that. Yeah,
Because the more it comes back in the song, the more I get tired of it and loses its impact.
right. Exactly. So, um, all right. Well, it's not all in caps on this Wikipedia page, but hold me tight or don't. What's your take on hold me tight or don't?
So this was, if you go in order, not counting the singles coming out before the album, if you
Yeah.
go just sit there and listen to the album as a whole, I would say this is the first truly questionable song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
Stay Frosty, Royal Milk Tea, great opener. Last of the Real Ones, just kind of middle of the road, forgettable, kind of annoying,
Yeah.
but not like bad by any means.
Huh.
This one, it's just, again, lyrics are pretty decent,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a pretty boring song. It's
Yeah.
really boring. And again, whereas like Last of the Real Ones had some interesting aspects, like the beginning piano and like the first part of the chorus was pretty good.
Yeah.
This doesn't really have anything like that. It's but it has nothing really bad about it either. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just boring, which I think is the worst offense a song could have. I'd rather listen to a bad song than a boring one, because if at least if a
Right.
song is bad, you can kind of laugh at it and be like, wow, that was really bad. And then they have a specific sound, like the what's like the na sound that goes throughout it a lot, and it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Something that he sings and they do with his voice. I just didn't care for it. 4 out of 10.
All right. Fair enough. I mean, I also like it's just we're gonna get through a lot of them in a sec, but like some of the titles are like what? Just some of the titles are just questionable on there. Number 4, Wilson in parentheses expensive mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
This is the song that they should have played on Hella Mega.
Mm.
I love this song. Best song on the album. 10 out of 10. Has a bit of that old, well, I'm not going to say old Fall Out Boy feel, but has a bit of the older Fall Out Boy feel, like from maybe an album or two ago. And it's a fun song. It's a good song. It's actually catchy and you actually remember it, unlike the other songs. Like up until the other day when I listened to the album again, I completely forgot what Last of the Real Ones and Hold Me Tight or Don't. I forgot how they went because they were once the album, like about a year went by from the album coming out, I didn't listen to those songs anymore really.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson, great. And again, look at the credits on it. Fall Out Boy wrote it just themselves, no outside input, and had one producer on it.
Shows you they
That's it.
still got it.
Exactly. So I love it. My old edgy high school self that wishes he can go back there loves the I'll stop wearing black when they make a darker color line. As I sit here in a yellow shirt and most of my clothes are no longer black.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, everything you just said, nail on the head completely for me. I agree. Shall we get to and we're getting halfway through the album now because only 10 songs. Church. Not Take Me to Church by Hoyser. I don't even know how to say his name.
Thank God I hate that song.
I know it's repetitive. But Church by Fall Out Boy. Fall Out Boy and 3 other writers. What do you got?
So there were only 2 songs on this album that I would say are 10 out of 10s. Church is the second one.
Okay. All right.
I really like Church. The production on this one actually really shines through very well. Props to Butch Walker where it's due. I'll give it to him on that one.
Yes.
Thing is, the chorus repeats itself a lot throughout the song.
Yeah.
but it doesn't get boring because each time there's so many different variations if you listen to it in terms of what he's doing with his vocals and his voice
Mhm.
and the production on it, having like the choir and the bells in it, it's great and it's a very well written and very well structured song that
Yeah.
I wish that we saw more of on the album.
I agree with you on that. And I gotta say, for Wilson, Expensive Mistakes, and Church to be your two number 10s on the album, as far as like ranking them goes. Fall Out Boy with the only writer on Wilson, Expensive Mistakes, whereas Church, they had three other writers outside of the band, which to me shows that like you said, I mean, anything is possible if you have the correct team and the correct in anything, not just in music, but in sports and movies, whatever. If you have the right team and the right quality of writers and people who work well together, you can still have good content on what we consider to be a mixed album.
Yes, 100%. I mean, even look at pop radio.
Oh my God.
Most of the songs you hear on the radio have a team of writers, team of producers. You know, it's very rare that you have someone like a Taylor Swift who writes a majority of her own stuff, works with like a select few producers and makes hits. Most people have a team behind their songs. Most people on the radio don't even write their own songs.
Right. Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, mind you.
Yes, Ed Sheeran as well. But it all comes down to whether or not you're working well together and you have a good foundation to build it on, which I think Church had.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The initial song isn't there. It doesn't matter how many writers you have on it. It's not going to help it.
Yeah, I agree. And plus Butch Walker and Wells were the only two producers instead of like 2 or 3 or whatever. So that's good. So yeah, I agree with that. Church is good. I mean, and plus that's the first half of the album that's already done.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start on the next one. Heaven's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. Can I be upfront with you for a sec?
Yeah.
Like this one, I mean, is it like their best number one? No, of course not. But like, is it a decent like modern day love song?
Mm-hmm.
I would say so. I mean, I like it. Do I like love it? Not really. But it doesn't serve its purpose as like a give me a boost over Heaven's Gate type of thing. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, what's your take on Heaven's Gate?
So Heaven's Gate, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the stretch of the album from Wilson to Heaven's Gate is incredible.
Yeah.
It is 3, what I would call honestly, amazing songs back to back. 3 songs that I legitimately love.
Mm.
It's a shame that the rest of the album after that doesn't keep that pace going. This song has the best vocals on the album.
Oh my God.
This is what I want from Patrick Stump all the time. I don't know why he doesn't sing like this more often.
I know.
He did it on, he kind of started that vibe with Infinity on High, really leaned into it on Folie à Deux, which is my favorite Fall Out Boy album.
It's great.
It's incredible. And then he kept that up on Speak Rock and Roll, but then just kind of stopped doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a really weird choice. I love to see it back here. The vocal performance is really what carries this song. It's so good. I will say the verses of this song, I think, are better than the chorus. I think the chorus does drag a tiny bit, and there's a bridge in like the middle of it or toward the end that I'm not too fond of. But the verses are incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost call it like an underrated modern day love song.
100%.
I mean, that's what I would call, because you're right. Tracks 4 through 6, like it's funny. Like you start, I'm just really quick going backtracking for 1 sec. The opening of the album's, good it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Last of the Ruins has got some good parts to it. Hold Me Tighter Down, whatever. But then you go to 4, 5, and 6. You're like, all right, this is actually pretty good. We're gonna get to Champion and Young and Menace in a second, but it's not bad at all. I mean, it's just there's some parts that, if anything, I would say like the opening's good, the middle two, the second two are like whatever. Then the middle of the album's it's kind of like a cheeseburger almost. Like you get to the burger part, you're like, oh, it's really good. Then you get to the bun, you're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why I look at this album.
Yeah.
So
100%. And that's a weird way of making an album, if we're going to be honest. The normal way an album's made is either usually you put the good songs up front.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless maybe they legitimately thought that all of them were that good, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's weird how like we just point out, like the really good songs to us are the three in the middle and like some of the first one, like the first second one. But like it's the sequencing is really weird. Imagine if like the first half of the album, the first 5 or 6 songs were those. The first 5 were those songs. That might change people's opinions, but that's we got the album order we got, but still.
Yep.
Let's talk about Champion. I mean, I like it. What's your take on Champion?
I don't like it, and I don't not like it. This one to me is just a straight 5 out of 10, middle of the road. It was the biggest hit from the album.
Okay.
It does sound more like American Beauty, American Psycho than a lot of the other songs on the album, but to me, not in a good way. It just sounds like they were like, oh, Centuries was a huge song. Let's write something extremely similar to that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what Champion is. They were like, we need a song that you can picture a music video of just someone training for a boxing match. Boom. Champion. Again, it's not bad. It's just, I don't think I liked it more when it originally came out, but going back to it, it doesn't hold up as well over time. I don't find myself going back to it at all. And even when I heard it now, I was kind of like, I don't like it as much as I used to. And the chorus, again, very repetitive. They repeat it a lot throughout the song.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's very repetitive. I mean, overall, I still like it, but it's not like does it hold a candle to like Wilson or Church or even Heaven's Gate? Not really. I agree with you on that.
No, this is where they started to go. This is where the album started to take a turn for the worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's any other thoughts on Champion all before we go down to the last 3 or no?
Just that I will say about Champion, I do like the verses. This is another example on this album of me thinking that the verses were actually very solid. It's just the chorus that kills it for me.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty much on the same page in this one. Sunshine Riptide featuring Burna Boy. Featuring one of my least favorite parts about music today. Featuring Black Bear, featuring Wiz Khalifa on Payphone by Maroon 5. Talk to me, Kyle. What do you got?
So I don't hate features as much as
I'm not anti-featuring. I mean, it's cool when like some people do it.
The problem is in modern music, and around 2018, right around this time, is when I started noticing this. Yeah. It wasn't that bad back then, but nowadays it's horrible. It's everyone feels the need to half the songs on the album need a feature. I don't know why they think that. Machine Gun Kelly, his last album's like that, where just feature and then I don't need all those features. Most of the time they don't work. This is an example of that. I don't know what they were thinking here. So this right off the bat, if Champion is where the album took a turn for the worse, this song is where everything just completely went to hell. Let's be honest here. It's a very cool idea in theory for this song. I like the idea of them making like a reggae style song. I think that'd be cool. And Patrick's verses actually sound pretty good. The chorus is awful though. I don't know what that chorus is. It's boring. It's forgettable. It's long. And it's one of the worst features I've ever heard. I've never listened to Burna Boy, but him just mumbling his way over a Fall Out Boy reggae beat was terrible. No one asked for it. I can't imagine there's any like Fall Out Boy fans that legitimately really enjoy this song.
Mm-hmm.
Again, really cool idea. Could have been cool to hear, but they really dropped the ball on it.
Yeah. Big time, buddy. Big time. I mean, everything you just said, I'm just gonna amplify it by saying this. I mean, I know I just prefaced by what I'm saying, but like I don't mind features. Like, I'll give you an example. John Mellencamp just released a new album and he had like featuring, I forget who it was, but for 3 songs, it was cool. Hearing 2 artists on the same track it's cool. I mean, I'm not anti. It's just when it's every single, like Maroon 5's Jordy, every single song was featuring another artist.
Yeah, that's the thing nowadays is people feel the we need to get hype. So we have to get everyone that we've ever talked to in the music industry on our songs. Features are great when they're used every so often.
Yeah.
And some artists just don't do features well. Fall Out Boy is a band that I could see having, decent features.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
You look at a band like Green Day, all their features, they've only had
like 2.
They had Nightlife with Lady Cobra.
And Ordinary Love.
She was actually, Ordinary World, the version with Miranda Lambert, and both of those features were not good.
I mean, they're better off with just the 3 of them.
Don't need features. I don't know why they consistently do this. I'm gonna be honest, a little off topic, but I think Machine Gun Kelly is better without the features. I don't know why he keeps bringing Black Bear on and saying, let's remake the same song again, because everything that you do sounds exactly the same.
Oh my God, I know, right?
But yeah, no, I think right around this album is when I think the industry started taking that turn towards needing features. I'm just glad this is the only one we got on the album, if this is what it was going to be like.
I know. And then, like, I just going back to, I know it's Fall Out Boy talk, but like Maroon 5's last 2 albums, like Red Pill Blues and Jordy amplified and doubled down on that. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
God help us all. Like, and I just on a side note, I know like I'm not anti-featuring. Like I said, like there's some artists who do it well, but like I don't know if you knew this or not, but Paul McCartney, he's anti-featuring. He doesn't like it at all. Like someone asked him at one point, "Would you want to work with Ed Sheeran?" He said, "I like what he's doing, but I don't want to work with him." And I respect that. I respect that someone like as an established name like that is like, look, I'm good on my own. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So the thing that I think people need to realize is that you can be a big fan of someone.
Yeah.
But if you don't think you can add anything to the song, you don't have to do the feature. If you don't think the person's legitimately going to add an extra layer to the song, like if you're just going to have a rapper come in and rap a verse in the middle of the song, like if it's not going to make it better, don't do it. Don't do it.
Columbia Records, you listening? I mean, Warner Brothers, you listening? Let's be real. I mean, come on. It's like, come on. Like I feel like and ever since 2018, it's been like every other song on pop, like Hot 100 radio is featuring an artist. Even Elton John and Dua Lipa did it. I'm like, oh, come on. I liked it a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, really? Whatever. But that's a conversation for another time. Yeah. Anyway, Sunshine Riptide. We are not fans of it whatsoever. You ready? Can you handle this? Young and Menace?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, you want to take this one first at all?
I'm already done. I'm coughing. I'm still sick. I'm sick of this song. I'm coughing because of the song, not because I'm sick. Oh my God. Young and Menace. What the hell? Let me just start by saying that. What the hell were they thinking? It's like, I think it's at the end of the album for a reason, because the end of the album is not that great. That's me. I mean, I really don't have much to say about it other than I'm not a fan. What do you got?
So I gave the song a 0.5 out of 10 because I didn't feel
not even a 1. Not even a 1.
I didn't feel right giving a song a 0 because it still exists. So I had to give it something, but I couldn't justify a 1. There is not a single thing redeemable about the song, and I can say in 100% honesty, this is one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
Oh my God. Even worse than Maroon 5's Jordy. Wow, that's tough.
Yes, because there's at least moments on that album, which again I have not liked. Full disclosure, I have not liked either of Maroon 5's last albums, and
No.
even then, I only liked half of V or 5, however you want to say. I only liked half of that one. So they're a whole nother thing. But at least songs by them that I don't like have something going on. This song is just all over the place. It's a weird, like they try to be techno kind of EDM with the weird drop.
I know.
Also, the weird, it sounds like they had like 3 different songs that they threw into one. The weird Nikki Sixx reference is kind of cool, I guess, but it serves no purpose.
Oh my God.
The lyrics of this one are awful, which is something that has been a saving grace of this album, is that the lyrics on most of these songs are actually really good. Terrible drop. Weird, and probably the worst lead single to an album I've ever heard.
Good God.
And that's coming after just last week saying how bad Shame Shame was for the Foo Fighters' last album as a lead single. But this one beats that tenfold. This song made them say, yeah, we're not really happy with how the album is right now, aka we see you guys hate this song, we need to go fix things, we'll be right back.
We'll be back after these messages and fixing the album.
Yeah, it's essentially like, oh,
Jesus.
we may have made an album with a lot of things that sound like this thing that everyone seems to hate. So that it's bad. And then they had the audacity to play it live a bunch of times.
Oh, that's just a slap in the face.
And this is coming from a huge Fall Out Boy fan. I love Fall Out Boy. They're a top tier band. But my God, you gotta, and any Fall Out Boy like fangirls out there, you gotta learn how to criticize your favorite bands when they do something wrong. There's a lot of people that don't want to admit that Fall Out Boy did anything wrong. This album's trash. Well, not album, sorry. This song is trash.
Thank you. Someone said it.
Like you got to learn to recognize when your favorite band does something, has a misstep. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
No, I mean, I've called out. I mean, like, no artist is like perfect.
No, everyone has missteps.
Yeah, everyone has like bad days here and there, of course. I mean, like we've talked about this. Like, I'm a huge Springsteen guy. Do I love every single one of his albums? No. There's some albums that I can't stand. Like Working on a Dream. Yeah. There's literally just on a side. There's literally a song called Queen of the Supermarket. How stupid is that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Don't even go there. You know what I'm talking about. Like, just a side note, like titles and that, I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, and then Young and Menace comes out for Fall Out Boy. We're like, what? The title's okay, but then you got like I can't talk about it. I'm sorry.
So the thing with this also is, if it wasn't the damn lead single of the album,
I know.
Oh, or if it wasn't a single, if you want to make it a single, make it like a second or third single. Why was this what you wanted to introduce people to this era with?
I know.
I don't understand it.
It was confusing to say the least.
Yeah, very confusing. I remember when I first heard this, I was legitimately shocked. I was I think I was still in Binghamton in college, and I was listening. I was like, oh, new Fall Out Boy song. And then my roommate got back and said, you got to hear this. He's like, put it on, and he was like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was a joke at first.
Like, oh, it's April Fool's Day. We're just pranking it. Yeah, it doesn't come out until whatever. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
My God. Well, if Young and Menace, you give it a 0.5 out of 10, that's just a rough day for anyone. Good God. Right. So we have one more song to talk about, and then we're going to do overall impressions and whatnot. But like Bishop's, this is a real song title, everyone. Ready? Bishop's Knife Trick. I'm not making this up. Kyle, what's your take on Bishop's Knife Trick?
It's so forgettable. There's nothing going on in this song. Nothing. Also, I just want to point out that with the exception of Church, Butch Walker has been part of almost every song I don't like, with the exception of Young and Menace. So congrats on that one, Butch. You avoided that.
Oh my god!
But
Butch.
yeah, it's just forgettable. There's not much going on. I tried to find things to say about this one. I really couldn't, other than just I never come back to it. It's like a 4 out of 10. It's not like insultingly bad, but it's boring, which I think is worse than being bad.
It's funny. It's you say it's a 4 out of 10. It's the longest song on the album too, at 4 minutes and 23 seconds. It's almost like they were the whole album. They're like, oh, it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds for like majority of the songs. And then this one comes out, it's a minute longer. Like, all right, whatever. And then it's instantly forgettable.
Yeah, and you know what though? I will hand it to them. And again, this didn't become a trend until a little bit later. The songs are all over 2.5 minutes long. Not like today's songs that are like, we can't make a song over 2 minutes, that people lose interest.
I know. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Like I literally just
Fall Out Boy album, all gonna be 2 minutes songs.
Oh my god, like the next one's gonna be like a minute. Like the longest song's gonna be like a minute and 58 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And then it's funny. I think we talked about this. Like, we talked about this with Foo Fighters last week? Like the length of the songs.
Yep.
This app, I'm just gonna read off from 1 to 10 the song length of each song length: 250, 350, 330, 336, 331, 345, 313, 324, 344, and then 423. It's almost like they're screaming for a Hot 100 radio hit, and sure enough, they don't have it.
Yeah.
And that just shows you something. But and you know it's funny, you talk about like how songs are going back to like 2 minutes long because of TikTok or whatever. But let's not forget, I just want to point this out. And I was listening to the Beatles today on vinyl before I came on today too, before I listened to this album as well. But like a lot of the songs in the 60s, majority of them were like 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's almost like we're going back to that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times with songs back then was with the lack of technology that they had.
Yeah.
It was either you had an album, not a long album, but you had an album with more songs, with more simplistic technology that you made shorter songs, or you had an album with like 7 or 8 songs that were slightly longer. Also, now with technology, people are able to, make longer songs going on into like the late 80s, 90s, and past there. But but the problem is, the difference is like the Beatles and the 60s and even like the 50s, artists knew how to make the 2 minute songs work. Yeah. Nowadays it's just, let's rush something out in 2 minutes and put it out. I know, it's sad. Like, and that's not to say that there's not good music out there now. Like, I don't want to go off that impression, because I love all music. There's not a genre, not a decade, not anything that I just straight up don't like. I like legitimately everything. Yeah, I'm the same way. But the overall trend has not been good the past couple of years. No, I second that completely, bud. I completely agree with that statement wholeheartedly. It's just like they're going so short now. Like it's like just pop songs go by like that, or even any song goes by like that now. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Unlike Tool, I mean, where they released like an album with like 8 songs on it. I know you're not a fan, but like, I mean, I like that album quite a bit for whatever it was. The average song was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes long. Like, that's crazy. That's cool for you. Let's release like an hour-long album with only 8 songs on it. Sure, why not? Well, have you seen lately live? He's just been playing different board games on stage while the band is playing. That's hysterical. I have not seen Django one night, and I think he did Operation the other night. He was actually pretty funny. I have to, my aunt's a big Tool person. I gotta look that up. That's pretty funny. That's what I mean. Like, and plus one of their singles charted on the Hot 100 like 2019, whatever it was, right? I don't know if you ever knew that. I also wanted to point out, it's a completely different genre than Tool. Taylor Swift broke the record for the longest song hitting number 1. Sorry, Don McLean. Will listen to great song, by the way, both of them. But it just goes to show people will listen to. We have to give people more credit. People will listen to a longer song.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't want all songs on the radio to be 10 minutes long. Hell, I don't even want all songs on the radio to be 5 minutes long.
Right.
But give me something that hits like the 3.5 minute mark. I mean, by the time sometimes you hear a song and you're like, this is good. What is this? It's over.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we could talk about song lengths all we want, but I mean, what's your overall like takeaways from Fall Out Boy's latest release in 2018? Well, not they had the greatest hits too. We'll touch on that in a second. But like, what's your take on Mania overall? Like, what do you got? I'll share mine in a second.
Oh, Mania. As a whole album, if I am being objective and taking Fall Out Boy away from it, because I'm a big proponent of bands removing a band name, that is, from an album when deciding whether or not it's a musically good album.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, I would give this one a 3 out of 5, to be honest, which is higher than I thought I would give it.
Yeah.
But the songs that are good on here are really good.
Yeah.
And it just hits the mark on that. Now, if I was rating this as a Fall Out Boy album in terms of what I expect from Fall Out Boy, I'd probably rate it lower. I'd probably rate it more like 1.5 to 2 as a Fall Out Boy album. But I mean, as an album, if you handed it to someone and said, this is Fall Out Boy's side project, what insert name here, not bad. You know, there's some songs that are absolutely atrocious, but I mean, it's pretty middle of the road for the most part. Like you had said, just a lot of boring stuff on it.
I know. Yeah.
It's a lot of boring stuff. It's a lot of boring stuff, like 2 absolutely atrocious songs, and then a few really good ones.
I mean, you pretty much nailed the head of me. I'm gonna go slightly like a 3.5 out of 5 personally, only because of the reason you said though, because the good songs are really good. Heaven's Gate, we touched on Wilson. You know, these are still really, really good songs. It's just they're on a bad Fall Out Boy album.
Yes. And
like, I completely agree with you on that. That's why I'm going slightly higher, because Heaven's Gate is still great. Yeah. It's a great hit. And you, I didn't really touch on this when you said it, but like his vocals, good Christ, he is so good.
Oh, he's an incredible singer, man. But lately he doesn't show it off as much. Couldn't even begin to imagine why. I mean, he's probably one of the best singers, and not only in the genre, but I would say in modern music right now. I mean, not that I would really consider Fall Out Boy modern anymore, but you know what I mean. Like, 2000s onward.
I mean, their first album came out in 2003, only 19 years ago. So who knows?
Only.
I mean, Adam Levine and him. I would say him and Adam Levine are up there for sure, as far as like pop rock goes. As far as that goes,
Patrick Stump, Brendan Urie, like they're
Brendan Urie,
really the modern day, what I would consider, you know, like your modern day Sinatra's. They're really good. They just technically great singers, and I wish we would see more of it. But I do think that this album has a fantastic EP hidden in there. Like if they released this album as an EP, I think it would have been much more widely accepted. Like if you started, like picture this.
Yeah.
Opens with Stay Frosty, Royal Milk Tea, like the album does.
Right.
And then goes into, you know, not particularly in order, but then you got, you know, either Wilson or Church next, because those both have to be on there. And you just make you can even still include Champion as their, like, to get that big hit out there, and then just end it on Heaven's Gate. Just boom, 5-song EP, and I thought it would have been great.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that would have been better. I mean, you're right. That would have been better, truthfully. So, if they did that, but they released 10 songs, and that's the latest we got. I mean, their greatest hits though, they did release. We'll touch on that for a hot second. I mean, I know it's not really Mania, but like the Bob Dylan and Dear Future Self songs are pretty good.
Yeah. So they also, I think I was telling you about this after our discussion last week. After this, they had another EP Lake Effect Kid. That
You told me
was
about this. Yeah.
really, really good. It was a leftover song that like a demo of it was put out there years ago. I think it was like the Folia days, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But it was 3 songs, and one of them, City in a Garden, was absolutely incredible. Like these songs were so good that I was like, where was this? I know one was a leftover song, but where was this Fall Out Boy on Mania? Like this EP was better than most things on Mania.
Right. Right. I mean, I'm pulling it up on the Wikipedia page, but like, I mean, they had like their EP was like, what year was it again? I'm sorry, the EP was what? Extended play was what year?
EP.
Oh, Lake Effect Kid. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the same year.
Wow. August of 2018
Yeah,
too.
only like 6 months later.
Oh, it's not gonna pull up. That's all right. Honestly, I gotta tell you the truth. I mean, that one is not. I have not listened to that personally. I've only listened to like the I primarily listened to like their main albums personally.
Mhm.
But like Believers Never Die, Greatest Volume 2 had a lot of good stuff on it, truthfully.
Yeah, it was all like
Yeah.
this. There's the second hits from the second half of their career.
Yeah, and like, but the new, I mean, just on a quick side note, they're Bob Dylan and Dear Future Self. We were talking about that last week on after we ended the show.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, if they were to release, it's not gonna come up, but like whatever, if they released like that type of music moving forward, that's actually pretty good stuff, truthfully.
Yeah. Dear Future Self, I'm a little less into, if I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
But I really like Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
That song is really good, especially coming from someone who does not like the artist Bob Dylan. But
yeah. So.
But yeah, no, I legitimately think Bob Dylan, like if they want to go that sound and keep that going, I'm fine with it. But do it well. Like have the songs there, have songs with good structure and good songwriting. And that's it, man. Like that's all I want from them at this point. Is just give me catchy songs. Not everything has to be a hit, but give me something that's not boring.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that. I mean, I really hope that after the Hell Mega Tour, who knows, they might put out another album at some point. They might. And if it sounds like the Bob Dylan, not like the artist Bob Dylan, of course, but like, if it sounds like Bob Dylan or Dear Future Self, I'm good. I actually like Dear Future Self too, which was good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's definitely better than the bad songs from
Mania.
From Mania, and it's more memorable than the forgettable ones from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm looking at like their latest stuff. I mean, they don't have an album coming out now, at least because it's 2022. They don't have an album yet, but I mean, if they do have an album coming out at some point, I mean, I feel like they might release one maybe in a year or two. I mean, what it would sound like though, I mean, if it sounds like Bob Dylan and it sounds like Dear Future Self, I'm good with that too. I mean, that's fine. I mean, Wyclef was an interesting pick as a featuring, but that was fine with me. So
what I find interesting is that we're going on, there's been no announcement of new music, no announcement of an album.
Right.
We're going on to about almost the same gap that was their initial hiatus between Foley and Save Rock and Roll.
Yeah, 2008, 2008,
2013. Big thing when they came back. I remember. Now, given they're not on hiatus, they're still touring and they're still active. But it's just interesting to me that they're going so long in between albums. I don't know if COVID has something to do with that.
I mean, maybe,
but
who knows?
It would have been great to have them use COVID as a time to work on new music, but I guess we'll see what happens.
I mean, who knows? I mean, I really hope that they would I hope that they would at least do something. So I mean, I'm not like a diehard fan, but I do like them quite a bit. Enough to the point where I would say, even though I missed them on Hella Mega, I would go see them again. I would go see them no matter what, because I mean, I do like their stuff enough. But I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting because they've been, it's funny. They released their latest album in 2018, and they've been pretty active, otherwise touring and whatnot. But Panic at the Disco released their latest album in 2018 as well. And they've been quiet. I mean, I talked to you about that stuff too, but like, the last I heard about him,
they went quiet.
Yeah, I've actually heard that he. This is just a PATD moment, but like, I did hear, and I'm gonna break it here, because why not? I did a little digging. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah. Yep.
I dug around a little bit on Instagram. There's an Instagram account called Panic at the Discotheque, or like it's a fan account or like one of the drunks. I forget what it's called. But the guy who runs it lives over in England. He has inside scoop on him, and he said that there should be a new single dropping for Panic at the Disco this summer, because his mental health, because COVID hit him, and like everything that happened in the world in 2020 and 2021, he's been really like mentally hit hard. Brendan Urie. So they said he should be back though, and it sounds like Queen from what I understand. I did dig around for that. So I'm breaking that here. You heard it here first.
Fingers crossed for it.
Oh my God. If he shocks the world, because I mean, that's a Panic at the Disco thing, but High Hopes was like a huge hit. So
yeah, I mean, between potential for Panic at the Disco music, I mean, Green Day teasing music, I'm assuming they'll have something by the end of the year at least.
Oh yeah,
whether or not it's a full album or at least a single before the end of the year. There's been, rumors. I doubt it's true about Tom going back to Blink.
Oh yeah.
I doubt that's true, but all things to look forward to. And I hope that we keep getting a double album from Sum 41 coming.
Hey, anything's possible, man.
It's gonna be a good year for pop punk, so
oh yeah, and
hopefully Fall Out Boy can jump on board with it.
Hopefully they all can make a big comeback as far as new music and whatnot too. I mean, hopefully it'll be it'll be good. Hopefully it'll all be like a new thing. So hopefully it all works out.
Yeah. Also, just want to shout out The Damned Things, side project of some of the members here. Incredible, very good. Definitely more like punk leaning. Great band. Highly recommend checking them out if anyone hasn't.
It's called The Damned Things, you said?
Yep, The Damned Things. I believe they have 2 albums now. First one was a while ago, and they released the other one not a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Pretty solid stuff.
It's very pop punk or punk stuff.
More punk, definitely more like heavy.
Okay, so like more traditional hardcore punk then.
Yeah, okay. Not quite like that. Probably a nice little middle ground, but yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching, listening, however you streamed us. And we hope you enjoyed this fun mixed bag type of discussion on Fall Out Boy's Mania. Obviously, we both had different thoughts on it. We both thought it was, given that it's their latest release, hopefully they redeem themselves soon. Hopefully, they put out more content soon. I want to thank Kyle Q for joining me as always. Thank you so much for doing this as always. It's a delight when you come on. So,
of course.
And if you have not already, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like us wherever you got to find us. Simply at The Super Review Show. And we'll see you guys next time for another episode of Career Retrospective at some point soon. Check us out later. We'll see you guys next time.
See you.